We're ready. Anytime now.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Board of Directors for the Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District, our second of the month meeting. Would everyone please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. We have our Metro Cable announcement. The open session meeting is videotaped for cablecast on Metro Cable 14, replay on Monday, April 29th at 6 p.m., and Tuesday, April 30th at 1 p.m. on Channel 14. Webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. The open session meetings are also available for viewing on the district website at www.metrofire.ca.gov. We now have the public opportunity to discuss matters of public interest within district jurisdiction, including items on or not on the agenda. Madam Clerk, do we have any speaker cards?
There are no speakers this evening.
No speaker cards. Thank you very much. We'll move on to consent. Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for the consent items. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Director Sailors.
Aye.
Gould.
Aye.
Orzali.
Aye.
Sheets.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Wood.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
And Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, we have presentation items. Fill the Boot for Burns - Chief Challenge. And we'd like to welcome Mike Daw. Mike, you had a change here. I'd like to welcome Trevor Jameson on behalf of Mike Daw, representing Firefighters Burn Institute.
Good evening, President Jones, Directors, Chief Arms. It's nice to be here tonight and present, excuse me, for the second year in a row, Chief Arms has won the Chief's Challenge. He actually raised $8,803. He could have just taken his advance donations and not shown up and still won. So he did a lot of great work before the event as well. I was out there with him. It was a good event. A lot of the membership were out there supporting him. So I just want to congratulate him and present him with the Chiefs Challenge plaque and the trophy. They'll stay here as well. And thank you for the hard work.
All right, thank you, and congratulations, Chief.
Take it back home. Thank you. Come on, stand here, we get a picture. Stand there.
Yeah.
We like each other.
How much of that donation was voluntold?
Act like we like each other.
There were significant reminders.
Okay, got it. We'll just walk by the front here.
Chief, how much of that was voluntold?
None.
Yeah, and you're a liar. Oh, is that right? That's right.
Chief, did you want to make some comments on this?
Oh, no, I just appreciate the support. Thank you very much.
All right, well, you're
I
very,
do want to make one comment.
of course.
Thank you all for the support, but the day that we were out there, the deputies were there, and a lot of the command staff was there, but there was a sea of Metro jackets that were out in the street, and a few of my fellow fire chiefs were quite upset that we had so many people that were out there that they didn't have any chance. But I think it goes to a great foundation and to a great need, so it was a good time.
All right, thank you. Well done, Chief. We're going to move to our action items, of which we have 4 tonight. Number 1 is the selection of special district representative for the Sacramento County Treasury Oversight Committee. The recommendation is to vote to elect Amanda Thomas for special district representing Sac County Treasury Oversight Committee. Clerk Pania, do you have the honor?
I do have the honor. So good evening, directors. You may remember a few weeks ago, this board nominated Amanda Thomas to the Sacramento County Special Districts Oversight Treasury Committee. And as luck would have it, she was the only nominee received. So the ballot was sent out. Her name is the only one on it. So it's my honor to ask for your vote this evening to support her in that election. I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions for the clerk?
Does the candidate want to make a statement?
The candidate is probably working very hard right now at this moment.
Let's hope she's enjoying herself.
No video.
All right. If there are no questions, Chair will entertain a motion for staff recommendation.
I'll move that we adopt staff recommendation and vote for Ms. Thomas.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first from Director Wood and second from Director Sheets. Please call the roll.
Director Sailors,
Aye.
Gould,
Aye.
Orzali. Sheets,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
and Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, action item number 2, land exchange agreement with the City of Rancho Cordova. We welcome Economic Development Manager Jeff Fry to the podium.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening, Directors, Chief Harms. Very excited to present this one tonight. I think this is a project that spanned all 6 metro administrations, and it's nice to bring it to a conclusion here. So background, the housing bubble is probably at its peak. In Rancho Cordova, there's a specific plan called Sun Creek, I believe, first project being Anatolia. Lots of homes are going up, and we, as Metro Fire, are desperately trying to figure out how to serve it. Had entered into a number of negotiations with landowners out there and just were not able to accomplish a sale. Finally, we were able to work with AKT to find a site within the area, and I'm going to use parcel view here to show that location. So this site is the site we originally agreed on, and we're able to purchase from AKT for $68,000. However, our need was to move right away. Development continued to occur, and we didn't want to slow that up. So we also bought a house adjacent to that parcel and set up an apparatus bay there on the land to continue to provide service. Shortly after that, we all know what happened. Downturn comes. We were planning. We did get through a schematic design on this site, but that allowed us to rethink our service in the area. In 2012, we moved forward with looking at a growth plan and looking at deployment strategies. And through a lot of that work, we realized that this just wasn't the greatest site for us. You can see the arterial roads there. We have a significant drive away from those roads to get to any kind of artery or connector roads. So our response out of that site was limited. In 2012, we approached the City of Rancho Cordova, and our city gate at the time, our consultant, had identified a couple of sites for us to reconsider, and we were able to work with the owners of the Montelena property here, which you can see on the screen, and work into the development agreement with City of Rancho Cordova, a site there. And the intent was always to do a swap. Essentially what would happen is for the right or the entitlement to build that area out, they would dedicate a site for a fire. The city would take that site and then swap us the fire site for state requirement for low-income housing, and we would essentially trade properties. We ran into a couple of snags, a couple legal challenges. Market wasn't quite right in 2012, so the project was essentially died for a number of years till a couple of years ago when we started looking at this great master plan that you've heard me talk a lot about over the last several weeks, and we thought that it was probably a good time to revisit this project. So over the last year and a half or so, we've been able to work with the developer and the City of Rancho Cordova to effectively accomplish this land exchange. You're probably asking why the need now, and I can show you. I'm going to scroll out here and move east. You can see that this project out here called Somerset Ranch, and this brand new development that just was subdivided this year. There's about 500 to 600 home sites in that area, which would put our service standard board adopted over the 4-minute response. So this new centralized location would essentially allow us to serve a majority of the development within 4 minutes and would allow for a significant amount of growth for the next 30 to 40 years. So with that, we're asking for delegated authority from the board to the chief to accomplish this. There are some minor details that still need to be accomplished. We need to work out a couple of legal descriptions and a couple of easements across the property. But for all intents and purposes, all the parties agree and we're ready to move forward. So with that, I will entertain any questions, comments.
Madam
Jeff,
Chair,
I'm
I make a
thrilled.
recommendation, or
I'm
you
thrilled.
live there.
Yeah, I'm thrilled. I love it. So I'll move that we get staff's recommendation going.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
It's been first and seconded, and this has been in the pipeline for quite a while, so thank you. It's nice to see it come to fruition. Are there any other questions? Please call the roll.
Director Sailors,
Aye.
Gould,
Aye.
Orzali,
Aye.
Sheets. Aye. Kelly,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
And Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you. Moving to action item number 3, totally related. Notice of award RFP 19-05, Future Fire Station 68, Architecture and Engineering Services. Continuing with Jeff Fry at the podium.
Yeah, I told Chief Shannon we couldn't have timed this any better. So anticipation of this and working with the city, we did move forward earlier this year with the multiple award schedule to establish a list of architect and engineering firms that we could use for projects like this. Shortly after the board approved that list, we released an RFP for architectural and engineering services for the design of 68. All 5 firms responded. Great firms, can't say enough about them. All have station design experience, all have outstanding partners to deliver the project. To talk a little bit about the RFP, I just want to tell the board, we established a number of goals for the project. First and foremost being the design for safety and performance. I think that's the number thing when we talk about a facility, trying to contain contaminants as they come in off from the fire ground into the apparatus bay and keep those contaminants there in the apparatus bay. Make sure there's not contamination across the facility. And then design for performance. We're all about getting to the scene as fast as possible. So the design of a facility certainly accomplishes the turnout time. So those were 2 of our top priorities. And then the next 3 were really lessons learned from the facility condition assessment that we discussed last time. We're looking for a low maintenance, durable systems and finishes in the building. Again, it's a fire station, very busy place. We need to maintain it for 50 years. Let's consider that in the design. It's got to be energy efficient, and it's got to be flexible for future growth. I think what we don't want to do is be here in 40 or 50 years saying this site is not big enough to accomplish what we need to accomplish, and then essentially, repeating lessons of the past. And finally, for the project we need it to be on time and on budget. There is a need to deliver the project to serve all that development to the east. So with that said, we developed a pretty comprehensive scope, and we asked for typical things of an architectural and engineering firm, but we also asked for additional services, things that I think we need as a fire district and to help us to get this project where we need to go. And finally, we were really looking for a partner. So with all of that said, we felt that 2 firms kind of separated themselves and saw our vision and what we are trying to accomplish. We interviewed those 2 firms, being MFDB and LCA, last Thursday. And out of that interview, I think there's just a comfort level with MFDB. Also, their price is on the scale. The proposed cost is $603,000. The scale of proposals was from $603,000 to near $1 million. So, besides, I think, the level of service that we feel we're going to get from MFDB, there was also the what I call the cost value proposition. It was probably the best for the district. So finally, again, we are also asking for delegated authority for the chief to finalize this. We don't expect any material changes in the agreement itself. There's a couple of things we learned in the interviews last week that we would like to put into the agreement. And I think there's one follow-up item with council on a new indemnity clause, I believe. So with that said, I will answer any questions about the A&E process.
Any questions? Director Matt Kelly?
I'm sure you probably know, but I believe MFDB's been involved with the last 4 fire stations that have been built by Metro Fire.
4 or 5, and I mentioned the conceptual design on 68. They also have done that. I think more recently, they've also done some work with Consumnus, and they rebuilt Roseville Station 1. And probably most important to me is they have familiarity with the city of Rancho Cordova. They understand there are processes and are able to identify roadblocks early and help us deliver the project.
Right, and I would believe that working with them would probably give you a comfort level, knowing that they've been around the fire
Absolutely.
stations in Metro Fire before.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Are there other questions? Director
Thank
Wood?
you. Thank you, Madam Chair. What's the timeline, Jeff, from, the vote tonight to shovels in the ground?
I have an updated timeline. Shovels in the ground, as luck would have it, Dan's in the audience here, but I think we're, 6 months or so, but I will say the caveat that is, we expect to be through the design phase through permitting about winter time. So obviously, a lot of that will be driven by rain.
Thank you.
I think total process, we're looking at about 22 months. Does that sound about right? Somewhere in there?
All right. Any other questions or comments? Chair will entertain a motion for staff recommendation.
I'll move that we adopt staff's recommendation.
Second.
All right, first and second, you can choose the toss-up there, Melissa. Would you please call a roll?
Director Sailors,
Aye.
Gould,
Aye.
Orzali,
Aye.
Sheets. Aye. Kelly.
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
and Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, action item number 4, ground emergency medical transport quality assurance fee budget amendment. Welcome to the podium, Ron Empedrad.
Good evening, directors, chief harms. My name is Ron Empedrad, controller for the district, and tonight I'm presenting a budget amendment for the general fund. In March of 2019, the state approved the federal program called Quality Assurance Fee Program, which provides an add-on reimbursement for our ground emergency medical transports. And the best way to illustrate it is to give you an example. On my slide right now, and I apologize, I just have to make a few changes on the slides. Hold on. Just the decimals. Decimals always get to me.
Talk about current. Right? That's pretty current.
Yes.
Stock market went down a little today, so.
I apologize for that. So currently, without the QAF program, we receive a reimbursement of $118.20 for each medical transport that the district does. Medical is the California's version of the Medicaid program, and it provides health coverage for children and adults who have limited income or resources. With the QAF program, we will be paying for each transport, not just medical transport. For every transport that the district does, we will be paying $25.23 for each medical transport. And then in exchange, we will get $220.80 for our medical transports. So notice that the $25.23 is assessed to every medical transport, regardless of whether or not it's medical, Medicare, or private insurance. However, we only get the reimbursement on our medical transports. So to illustrate, assume that we have 10 transports, of which 3 are medical. The QA fee would be $25.23 times 10, so we have to pay $252.30 for those 10 transports. So in return, we get a reimbursement of $118.20 times 3, which is the medical transports, which is equal to $354.60. The QAF add-on reimbursement would be $220.80 times 3, which would be $662.40. So taking out the current reimbursement, the net QAF reimbursement that we will be getting for those 10 transports is $410.10. Now, this changes depending on the mix of depending on the demographics that we have. Obviously, if you have more medical transports, the reimbursement will be more, and if you have less, then the reimbursement will be less. But right now, based on our calculations, we would, for the QAF fee for fiscal year 2018-19, we would need to be we would need to pay $1.4 million to the state. And in return, we will get a reimbursement of $3.6 million, so a net funding of $2.2 million to the district. Our budget amendment is, so for your decision tonight is the budget amendment that requires us to increase $1.4 million in our taxes, licenses, and assessments, and we would get the $3.6 million in return. That ends my report. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Make a motion, we adopt.
All right, right out of the
Third,
chute.
fourth, fifth.
Are there any questions or comments from board members? Please call the roll.
Dr. Sailors. Gould.
Aye.
Orzali.
Aye.
Sheets.
As complex as it was, aye.
It's fresh.
Kelly.
Aye.
Wood.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
And Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Directors.
All right, and thank you, Ron. Appreciate that help. All righty, moving to reports. President's report. I do have one item to share. In the past and up through the present, Metro Fire has established 2x2 committees with the City of Citrus Heights and the City of Rancho Cordova, and that has served all of us, all of the agencies involved, very well, very well. And I'd like to let everyone know that on an informal level, we have extended the same invitation to establish a 2x2 to a couple of the Board of Supervisors that I have the opportunity to work with. The response has been very, very positive, again, at the informal level, but we will be proceeding to try to establish a 2x2 committee with the Board of Supervisors for Sacramento County. I think that will benefit both Metro Fire, the county, and for sure, all the citizens within our boundaries. And with that, we'll be having an executive committee meeting to help put that on a more formal basis. So that's in the works, and that concludes my report. All right, we have Fire Chief's report.
Good evening, board members. Just a few things. We had a reassignment on April 16th. Captain Paramedic Ben Cargile was selected to be the EMS day captain, and he's starting his new assignment over there. We have a recruitment open right now for reserve firefighters and a recruitment for a drill instructor for SRP academies that are coming up. I had on 4/23, Chris Vestal, that is here, went out and represented the district with Amibera. They had a disaster preparation workshop in which we went down and did some, basically the district went out there and talked about the disaster response. Chris represented us onto that meeting there. On the 24th, we had a labor management meeting, which was very well attended. And there was also a Rancho Cordova annual elections officers reception, which the president took me to last night. And we had a great opportunity to meet with some folks there. And one of the things that came out of it was the city manager from Rancho Cordova, Cyrus, I can't remember Cyrus's last name. But it was very timely with the report that Jeff gave, is that without naming the Apple corporations, there's 3 developments that are taking off in that whole area to the south of Mather right now. And all 3 of them, their plan is to be able to start putting the infrastructure in, and in 2020, start building houses down there and moving forward. And he was just very happy that things that they have been working on for years over there right now are just taking off like mad. So it's again, someone mentioned the timing of Station 68 and the growth that's happening down there. It's all lining up at the same time, so it's neat to see that happen. We've been working this week, myself and the deputies and Amanda, on the preliminary budget, going through the requests from the different divisions within the district, looking at our current payroll, some expectations on the future of some payments for PERS, insurance, and putting those all together and building our preliminary budget. Last two things is that the new fire chief for OES, his name is Brian Marshall. Brian came from Kern County. I've known Brian for quite a while, so it's nice to have a relationship. This past week, we were able to sit down and really talk about the JPA and the future of the JPA and his support from OES. Chief Kim Zagaris was a great supporter of us and got us to where we're at today. But it was a really great meeting with, and Chief Shannon will talk more about it, but it was really a great meeting with Brian, Chief Marshall, and looking at where we're at today and some of the things that he has been given direction and what he would like to do moving forward with Zinfandel and the JPA out here. And the last thing, just a little for Matt Roseberry. I asked Matt to do some stuff on a program called Enforce, which is the National Operational Response, and it's a data platform. And we were asked to get involved with that a little while ago. It's taken us probably about a year to get through everything, but Matt was able to get kind of some of the last sign-on stuff. One of our meetings, I'm hoping with Cap to Cap, will be with a group that is managing that, and as you can see across the board and in the fire service, our ability to use data, good data, for making decisions on growth or apparatus or response is key. So I think this is a good thing for us moving forward. That ends my report unless you have any questions.
Any questions for the chief? All right, thank you very much. I'd like to welcome Chief Bridge to the podium for the operations report.
Good evening, President Jones, board members, Chief Harms, Eric Bridge, Deputy Chief Operations. And since our last report out 2 weeks ago, we stay again consistent with our call volume. But so I'm not going to bore you with those numbers. I think you have them memorized pretty close by now. But just as a refresher, we are around 3,700 total calls. But I want to talk about where we're at right now in terms of wildland season is upon us again. It doesn't seem like it was too long ago. When was that? November, December, when we were still on fire. So we're ramping up again. So as of May 1, we'll be dusting everything off for our wildland apparatus. And then in the middle of May, we'll be back to full staffing with our dozer operations. And then that first part of June, we will have the helicopters back up and flying as well. So a few models right now are, you know, as you can tell in the lowlands here where we're at, we're going to be a little more active earlier this year than the foothills. So we don't really anticipate a lot of fire activity up in the foothills until probably sometime mid to late June or even early July, just due to the substantial rainfall and snowfall that we've had this year. But with that comes a lot of growth. So that's where we're at. So that's what I have in terms of operations report for tonight. But I do have Captain Vestal here. I want to have him give a little presentation on our every 15-minute program.
Thanks, Chief Bridge. President Jones, directors, Chief Harms, thanks for having me. Yesterday, as Director Wood saw, we did another every 15 minutes program out at El Camino High School in the Arden area. And we do about 2 to 3 of these every year. And Chris Dargan, our community relations coordinator, really is instrumental in getting these going. Each one takes about 2 to 3 months of time, about 60 to 80 hours over that. But a lot of planning, working with the CHP and the other law enforcement agencies, the high schools. There's a production company that actually helps put these on, and then of course the hospitals. So there's a lot of moving parts. We use a helicopter to transport one of the assimilated patients, and a lot of good work. And really what our impact is we hope that we can show not just the students that see it, but through our social media and our other media, really the impact that drunk driving and, in my opinion, distracted driving of all sorts can have. They really could put a negative statement on somebody's lives, and not just that driver, but the whole community at large. So we were lucky enough to be able to produce a video on yesterday's program. So I'd like to show that now, and it will kind of tell the story. And if there's any questions after that, I'll gladly take them.
Hazmat 109, Engine 110, Medic 101, vehicle accident with entrapment, 4300 El Camino Avenue. Vehicle accident with entrapment in front of El Camino High School, in front of the Performing Arts Building, 4300 El Camino Avenue. Battalion 7, 2430, Hazmat 109, Engine 110, Medic 101, Fire Map 132 Charlie 3, operations on Tango 2, T2.
Sarah? Sarah, are you okay? Oh my God. Jolie. Jolie, Blake. Jolie, wake up. Blake. Oh my God. Bailey. Bailey, what happened? Honey. Jolie, come on, Jolie. Jolie, it's okay, come on. Blake, come on, Blake, come on, bud, wake up, man. Blake, come on, Blake, you're fine, Blake. Come on, you're.
Firefighter triage, 110 engineer. Handle it. It looks like in the white sedan we have 2 patients. They're going to be primarily transportation. And it's also the most 2 critical. Coming in 110, working on the patient.
So sorry.
You guys are working on the other patient.
Sir, they're going to get you real quick. Just calm down, you're going to be fine.
Stop, 46, X-ray 7, we're 97 on scene. We got 2 vehicles involved. Very good.
2 critical patients are here in the white sedan. Give me an update on their status.
What happened? What did?
I was going and I was just going straight and everything and I started to veer. I don't know and Blake's car was right there and all I know is we just hit and now Blake's not talking and Jolie's on the hood and
Okay. Sam, have you been drinking alcohol?
I've had a few beers, yeah.
Sam, let me put you in the car right quick and sit down in the car. Follow me right over here.
Okay.
We have a total of 4 patients. The driver of the Jeep is now immobile. We have 2 patients here, one through the windshield, one driver who appears unresponsive this time, plus another in the Jeep over here. We don't see any more resources.
Is that your friend?
Medic 103.
You know her?
Access to your scene. Command engine 110, second patient, chief complaint paralysis. 110 Alpino 10 copies. Chief complaint on the passenger in the Jeep, full body paralysis. Confirmed 1055. We're going to go ahead and work on recovery. The command copies 1 patient deceased in the sedan. 1 patient deceased.
Fatal injuries? Sergeant, got a confirmation this is a fatal injury.
Fire dispatch, El Camino Command, we have 1 deceased patient.
Notification for the coroner's
1
office.
patient transported to emergency 10-1. And we also have 1 deceased patient, which has been turned over to the Sacramento County coroner. All fire units will remain committed for an extended ETA.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you run you through some field sobriety tests. With your eyes only, follow the tip of my finger, don't move your head. Do you understand?
Yes.
Keep your head straight. Begin. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Good. Sam, you're a .10. For an adult, that would be over the legal limit. And as a juvenile, you're way over the legal limit. Sam, I'm placing you under arrest. Put your hands on top of your head. Drop your hand down on your side. Come with me.
Can you tell me your name?
Sarah.
Do you know where you are?
No,
No? Do you know what happened today? Wiggle your fingers for me. Can you tell me what foot I'm touching?
No, I don't know.
Can't feel it? What about now?
I can't feel it.
Can you wiggle your toes?
No.
All right, sir, take a big deep breath for me, okay? All right. One more. Emergency 1, this is Mac 32. Come to your facility code 2 with ETA about 10 minutes. On board, I have a 17, that's one 7-year-old female. She was involved in a motor vehicle accident traveling approximately 45 miles per hour. She was restrained, airbags were deployed. There was a fatality in the opposing vehicle. Patient is A&O times 3, the GCS is 14. A little confused as to where she is. BP 147 over 89, heart rate is 64. She does have an open tib-fib fracture on her lower left leg, stating no sensation from the hips down.
Okay, so obviously very impactful. We'll post this on our social medias as well as the CHP, but one of the big benefits to this type of program is we get some really good training out of it, and then the cooperation with the other agencies, like I mentioned earlier, the Highway Patrol, and working with their helicopter program, as well as the hospitals, which there's a whole other side of this which we don't have video of yet, but that takes place at the hospitals. Director Sheets knows, and Director Wood can probably touch on parts of some of the students and their reactions during this, and kind of what he noticed that you and I talked about afterwards.
Thank you, Captain. It was absolutely amazing. The work you did, what Mr. Dargan did, needs to be recognized. He did an awesome job. It was very impressive. The students came in, the cars were covered up with tarps so you could see what was there. And they all took their place, and everyone's kind of chit-chatting and all that. And the calls start coming through over the speakers, and then people pull the tarps off the cars, and you see the scene that was in the video, and all of a sudden it just went silent. You have all these little 17, 18-year-old kids that normally can't keep their head out of their phones for 2 or 3 minutes, were engrossed in this thing for the 45 minutes or whatever we were out there. It was absolutely amazing. Everyone was phenomenal to watch. It was really a good show, good presentation. If just 1 or 2 of those kids grows up and makes decisions that saves their lives, it was all worth it. But I do want to say one thing. I got to watch it off to the side, and I was hanging out with the watch commander of the Northern Division for the CHP, and I can't remember his name for the life of me, but he did mention that he and his crew all love working with Metro and the crews that we have. We're always professional, we're always on time, respectful, and we work very well with the CHP according to the watch commander, so that needs to come back. So, but the presentation was absolutely incredible. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I absolutely appreciate this. It is being on both sides, being a flight nurse and working with the schools and whatnot, and then working in the hospital. I can tell you it is such an impactful program where the parents know that that their kid is the one that's going to be identified as the one that doesn't survive, and we go through with the chaplain and bring them to the bedside, and they know what they're going to be told, but it is absolutely, I mean, even as we know that it's not real as the staff and the trauma surgeon and the nurses and whatnot, and you will still get choked up because these parents are being told, and they're, moulaged like they are, and they are being told, unfortunately they didn't survive. And it is, I know that those students, it is absolutely incredible. And so I love seeing this stuff. And I was able to go to one of the every 15-minute drills 2 years ago. And I was able to bring my daughter to it. And she loves that stuff. So really, really appreciate that. It's such a great program.
I'm glad you mentioned that. The emotions of people who know what's going to happen is even impactful.
And with the staff, when they are brought to the hospital or whatnot, just the coordination with the trauma surgeons and the chaplains and the ER providers and all of the nurses and techs, we are trying to, create this environment and this moment so that it is impactful. But it's great to see the pre-hospital side. And, before I was a flight nurse, I never got to see that side. I only got to see on the hospital side. So, flying these teenagers, that are, like you said, in their phone and don't have a care in the world because they got no frontal lobes or they're not developed. But it's incredible, and I think it makes an absolute impact.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Welcome.
Yes, Director Rosales.
In the course of my career in education, I had the opportunity to see a number of these, and they're phenomenal presentations. What I noticed was I never saw anything in education that had a greater durational effect on students than this program. Most of the stuff that we did was a shoot and scoot, but they would reference these programs long after the event. So I truly appreciate it and I'm a tremendous supporter of it.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to say, go Eagles, class of '79. My son was class of '07, and my daughter was class of '09. Eagle family.
Keep it going.
All right. Well spoken on all accounts and levels. Thank you very much, fellow directors. All right. Next up, we have Metro Firefighters Local 522 report. Mr. Trevor Jameson.
Directors, Chief Arms, staff, again, great to be up here. I know last week my good friend and director, Joel Roberts, was up here as a great representative of Metro Fire and 522. I did get to watch the video. I heard how great and funny he was, and I appreciate that. And my hair is here tonight. But I know, directors, you have a long night ahead of you. I proudly and humbly serve in this role and to represent the membership. And we've been at it for a long time. Been out of contract now for almost 4 months, and been at it and negotiating for quite some time. Our members are passionate about what they do. I'm passionate about representing them. I hope that when you're in your closed session tonight, you'll remember that and reconsider trying to get this contract done. I don't want to belabor that. We've had lots of conversations. I think you all know where I stand. And I truly appreciate the time and the effort that you have all taken to listen to me and to hear me out. So I hope you have a good night. And if you have any questions for me, that's all I have.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Next up, we have committee and delegate reports. As I mentioned earlier, we will be scheduling an executive committee to move forward on a 2x2 with the county. Communications Center, JPA Wagaman, and again, change artist.
Yes.
Welcome, Chief Bridge.
Quick change, but report now for Chief Wagaman. They had a special board meeting last week. I have another report on that one, but we do have a special board meeting tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock right here.
All right, sir, thank you very much. California Fire and Rescue JPA, Chief Shannon.
Good evening. We met last week, the 18th. Give you some updated numbers. I think I stood before you probably almost a year ago. We looked at the budget or the projected classes they wanted to perform. They came up with a number of 84 projected trainings. As of today, or as of April 1st, they have 63 training deliveries. They have 25 more planned, so they're actually going to probably surpass what they predicted last year in the JPA. If you guys know, over the number of years, it's a huge increase. Looking at probably over 1,400 students being trained. Hitting some of that highlights, and I think if we look at the financials, everything is moving in the right directions. I won't get into it too deep, but it's all moving in the right direction currently. Some of the highlighted stuff that's been going on, they continue to, with how busy they are, they continue to seek interest from other fire departments, which is good. So we have a lot to talk with coming forward. There's other departments coming in that love to join. They keep supporting the California USAR team. So we have MOBEXs and water rescue. We haven't had a water rescue, swift water rescue team that we participate in, drill or class in over 5 years. So they're going to facilitate that this year. So they're really making some strides in that direction. Moving forward, they are going to plan. We're talking about a strategic plan sometime this year. And that's, I think the original strategic plan was from 1998. They had some revisions that actually were never adopted around 2013, 14, as far as the notes I get. So they're looking at that this year to move forward, just due to how busy they are and how much they want to expand. And Chief Harms mentioned earlier, where there's a couple of topics. They're looking at future training. They're also looking at fiscal opportunities and how to expand their footprint out at Zinfandel. And Chief Marshall will be intimately involved in that. Just expansion amongst the region, expansion amongst, like we mentioned earlier, maybe some other fire departments coming into the JPA, and that's all stuff that's going to be looked at moving down the road. So those are some of the highlights of the meeting, and like Chief Harms said earlier, I would like to extend a heartfelt thank you to Chief Zagaris. Over 41 years in the fire service. He has retired from Cali OES. He is on to his next endeavor. We wish him well. He was the chairperson for the council since 2005. So he's been on that council, the JPA, for a long time. Again, so we thank him. We thank him for his leadership. And I know at 41 years, I still don't think he's done. I think his name will be popped up out there in probably some training and or association out there. Also, welcome Chief Marshall from Kern County. He stepped in. He's the new chairperson for the JPA Council, and we look forward to working with him in the near future and extended future. And I'm sure he's ready to hit the ground running and see where we can take it. So, in the report.
Are there any questions or comments for Chief? Go ahead.
Chief, where is the majority of those training classes that the JPA is offering taking place?
Here.
Right here in this building.
This, and I think some of the staff can attest, this last year, over a year, this place is busy every single day. And I know this is some fine print, it's hard to see, but these are the class lists, and there are a lot of them, and they're here every week. They put in an EMT class too, so the EMT, we're doing, I think I mentioned last year that they had a contract with California Department of Corrections. So the correctional officers are here a week at a time. They also put in a nighttime EMT class. They have all kinds of classes going.
And are any classes, training of any type, occurring at Zinfandel?
Yes.
Okay.
Rescue systems, trench rescue. So there are some of those classes that are manipulative in nature. Mm-hmm. They are out at Zinfandel.
Great. And, I sat next to Chief Zagaris for a number of years, and he's a stand-up guy for sure.
Yeah. Yep, and like I said, he'll be missed as just his experience and knowledge in the fire department and fire service in the state of California is probably somewhat irreplaceable. So we'll do our best.
Thanks.
Are there any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, thank you. All right, moving on, Finance and Audit Committee, Director Kelly.
The Finance and Audit Committee met. Mr. Empedrad provided a report on the finances up through February 28th. Everything looked routine in nature, and just waiting for property taxes to roll in.
Okay, thank you, Director Kelly. Policy Committee, Director Gould.
No report?
No report. Thank you. Moving on to board member questions and comments. We'll start to my far right and move accordingly. Director Sailors.
I would just like to thank everyone for their informative presentations tonight, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Director Gould.
No report?
Director Rosali.
No report.
Wow. All right, Director Wood.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, I just want to say to Chris Dargan and Captain Vestal, thank you for the hospitality yesterday. Absolutely amazing performance. Had a great talk with Gary Condit afterwards, and a couple of the other members that were there that commented about how even though they do this all the time, this performance or this event always stirs them up, and it was absolutely amazing. Jeff, thanks for all your work getting 68 ready to have a final permanent home. Looking forward to that. And one last thing again, Tropical Affair, June 22nd. Get your tickets.
All right. Thank you very much. Director Clark.
Yes, the only thing I can report on it, I got to tell you, that little video shook me up. I'm serious. It got me emotional. So I think it's a great program. If it affects a grown man like me, I imagine those kids. So yeah, that was really amazing.
All right. Thank you, Director Clark. I have a couple shout outs and thank yous to give. It's Tuesday of this past week. The Community Emergency Response Team came to my community association annual general meeting. We had well over 60 people there, and they made a terrific presentation. The theme was emergency preparedness, and I'd like to thank each and every representative of the CERT team that came and participated, answered questions, and helped raise the emergency preparedness knowledge of my community. And we certainly hope to have a few volunteers join the CERT team. They were very, very impressive. Additionally, at that same meeting, again, the theme of emergency preparedness, we had Battalion Chief Jason Vestal and Captain Jason Winner come and give a presentation on the tank farm, Kinder Morgan, that's in my community area. And they were very, very well spoken, thorough, professional, and got the information across. And what was so nice is that I saw my community coming together and being supportive of each other, as well as the fire district for emergency preparedness. So I'd like to thank all those Metro members who came and supported that general annual meeting. And also thank you very much to Chief Harms for participating in the Rancho Cordova Metro Chamber of Commerce, Rancho Cordova Chamber of Commerce hosted an elected officials meeting social last night. It was very, very well attended, and it's always good for Metro Fire to reach out and participate and make connections with our other local leaders, both elected and non-elected. So that was a very, very productive time. Finally, I'd like to wish good luck to all my fellow directors going out to cap. I have a high degree of confidence level that Metro will do a great job participating and leading in our regional efforts back in DC. All right, with that, I think we will adjourn to closed session. And as usual, we do not expect to see anybody else's faces here when we return. Have a good evening, and we are adjourned to closed session.